Powfu was one of the biggest artists of 2020 and ended up putting out a song that would be one of the most successful ever called Deathbed. There's not a lot of interviews about him, there's not a lot of content about him, and generally nobody really knows much about him. With that being said, I decided today that I would make a video explaining who the man is behind one of the biggest songs of all time.
I've been chasing dreams, hope it works out. Shooting for the stars got me burnt out.
Isaiah Faber, better known as Powfu, was born on March 31st of 1999. His father was already a successful Canadian musician, Dave Faber, part of the band Faber Drive, and obviously his father would go on to heavily influence Powfu in being interested in music. To start, Powfu would end up living with his grandparents, and at about the age of 2, he would quickly follow in the footsteps of his father when his father forced him to play the drums. Admittedly, Powfu wasn't all that interested in this, but it did get him started on instruments, and he would switch over to some others such as the guitar when he was 7 years old. With that being said, he didn't really master these instruments, he just played them, but he got pretty good at a bunch of them. Powfu's interest in instruments would turn into interest in instrumentals when he started making beats just a few years later. All the way until he was 14, he would start actually making full songs, but he wouldn't release them anywhere because he didn't even know SoundCloud existed at the time. Fortunately, late into Powfu's senior year, somebody actually showed him that SoundCloud existed, and this is when he would start taking music very seriously. But he's still at school, so what he would do is he would go to school until about 2 p.m., which he immediately would have to leave to go to work for, where he worked at a warehouse job that he did not enjoy, until 6 p.m. And then after being up for probably almost 12 hours at this point, he would then begin to start working on music every single day. The thing is, his music didn't sound like the music we know now. Right away, Powfu did not think he had a singing voice and thought that was something that you had to be born with and couldn't really develop, so he would exclusively rap on these tracks. And here's the first one that he has posted on SoundCloud.
Laying back, drifting, chilling like a villain, feeling so high that I was living on the ceiling.
Now, gradually, Powfu would start experimenting more and more with his voice and accidentally ended up developing what he considers to be a pretty good singing voice. If you're familiar with Powfu, then you do know he is very religious, and this also comes from just a little bit after his first steps into SoundCloud, him attending a Christian camp and becoming a lot more open about sharing his religion with other people. After his senior year, Powfu kicks back, watches some romantic movies with his girlfriend, he ends up enjoying the song Notebook, and then later when he's looking for instrumentals, he hears this beat sampling Beabadoobee. So he's listening to this beat and he loves it. He's been in the lo-fi scene for a little bit now. He's learned to love lo-fi beats, and he decides that he's going to write it from the perspective of someone being on their deathbed. This, of course, would result in the song that we all know and love today, Deathbed.
I don't wanna fall asleep, I don't wanna pass away. I've been thinking of our future cause I'll never see those days.
After putting out this track, it would be one of Powfu's better songs, but nothing out of the ordinary. Eventually, Promoting Sounds would hit up Powfu and ask if he would like for them to post his music video on their platform, and he would agree. While this was absolutely a great opportunity for Powfu, this wouldn't be what would make the song blow up. What would, of course, is TikTok.
I don't wanna fall asleep, I don't wanna pass away. I've been thinking.
If there's one thing TikTok is good at, it's taking music and exploding it to unprecedented heights through challenges or any other means. With that being said, Deathbed in particular blew up because there was a challenge around it where people would be asking out their best friends and recording their reactions. While this admittedly had nothing to do with Powfu, it did bring a lot of attention to the song, and it would then be used for many things outside of this individual challenge, but the initial blow up of the song to the heights that we see today seemed to have a lot to do with this challenge. This is when things start heating up for Powfu to an extent that nobody can imagine. He's seeing the opportunity for his dreams to come true right before his eyes. He's getting all the attention that he could ever want, and it's only increasing every single day, but a large amount of the attention is fans messaging him on Instagram and Twitter saying, why isn't the song on Spotify, why isn't it on Apple Music, and why isn't it on the other platforms? At the same time, he's balancing label offers for a few $1,000s, but he's not really all that focused on it because he's focused on capitalizing on this attention, and to do that he needs to clear the sample. So he goes and he tries to contact Beabadoobee to get the sample cleared, but he can't do it, and without it being cleared, he can't put it on Spotify without it being taken down. But he decides, what am I going to do, and tells his fans, listen, it's probably going to be taken down, but I'm going to put this on Spotify and Apple Music without it being cleared. Of course, as soon as it's posted, just a little bit later, it's taken down by Beabadoobee's team. So then he goes and he checks his email, and he's getting more label offers from big guys now for even more money. But more importantly, he noticed a few that are focused on clearing the sample. So he immediately messages those guys first, and they get into a bidding war, everything like that, and he ends up agreeing on one label who says that they'll clear the sample, they have a shorter term contract, and they give him more freedom to work on music how he loves to do it. With his father being his manager, they agree to the deal. The label clears the sample, he posts Deathbed, he gets over 1 billion streams on Spotify, and now we know him for who he is today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy.